We'll kick it off, and then hopefully Jean Marie joins us here soon. David, welcome, David. If everybody doesn't mind turning on their cameras so we can have a real conversation, that would be great. Jay is in the car. I like it. I love the dedication. And then Grace, go ahead and let me know just in the chat that it's live in the Facebook, and then I'll kick it off here.
Sure, I'm setting up.
Okay, cool. David, what's new?
Much. How you doing, Bubs?
Doing good, making it happen. Just got back from a cold plunge in the mountains, some fresh spring water.
Nice.
Yeah.
What mountains?
I'm in Utah. So I live like literally 10 or 15 minutes from a canyon. So I just like I go up and do some fasted cardio and take a cold dip and just get going for the day.
So good.
Oh, that sounds so nice.
Yeah. Okay, we're live. Okay. So today's actually going to be really fun, guys. We are going to, Jean Marie isn't on yet. So Gladys, if you're okay with it, we'll kind of kick it off with you. But what this week is about sharing how we're succeeding with our speaking in our industries. So the two people that are going to talk today, we're going to start off with Gladys. She's going to talk about how we meet and work with, how she meets and works with celebrities. And then Jean Marie, if she hops on here soon, is going to talk about how to approach corporate planners. And so Gladys, if you just want to go ahead and kick it off with how you meet and work with celebrities.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. If you don't mind, just kind of like talking about some of your favorite or some of the bigger names you've worked with and how you got to be able to work with them, because that's really cool accomplishment.
Yes, it's actually been kind of neat. I never imagined when I started the journey of, firing myself from corporate America, best day of my life, and transitioning into becoming my own boss. I mean, I never really understood the power of what that would do for my life, the transformation, the time freedom, and putting me before the great. I think that's been the most incredible part of my journey that I never expected. But, it's kind of funny. You make all these plans and then God just kind of laughs and gives you better ones. So just to kind of start off, I guess, as a foundation, I started my business about 10 years ago. And, I have a television and advertising background. And so I understood the power of, positioning myself early on. When I did launch Golden Touch, I understood the power of advertising, right? And so I used to work for AT&T Advertising Solutions. And so in that, I was able to gain a lot of knowledge on advertising, and I became Google and Yahoo AdWords certified. And so I basically for 8 years made everybody rich, helping them generate leads and putting them on the top of Google. And one day my friend said, Gladys, when I was complaining about how corporate America was giving us more and more work and less pay, and, AT&T sold and changed the name, they said, I was like, man, I'm kind of bummed. He's like, why don't you just start your own company? And he's like, you have an advertising background. Why don't you apply what you know to yourself and to your own business? And so I'm telling you all that because advertising, if you're going to be successful in business, is key. You have to be a marketing and advertising expert if you want to be, successful in business, and if you want to be before the great, right? And so what I did is that I positioned myself on Google. I created an AdWords campaign, and I positioned myself to dominate. I put myself on every single platform that was already dominating, such as instead of, competing against all the people that were on the first page, I just joined them. So I put myself on YP.com. I put myself on Yelp. I put myself on Facebook. I put myself on all of the big wig companies, including Google, front and center with my potential customer when they were ready to buy. And so my first year in business, I ended up getting a call from a reality TV show called The Bad Girls Club that does the Kardashians in Jersey Shore. And lo and behold, that was my first celebrity experience, my first year in business. And they find me on Google because I had positioned myself and put myself on the top of Google literally, between first, second, and third placement. And then of course my website, I made sure that my website had that wow presence, that when they went on there, it had that look and feel where people just really wanted to work with you. You only have 8 seconds to capture somebody's attention online. If not, they're on to the next thing. And so it's very important that if you're a business owner and you're on this call and you have a website that is not user friendly, or that doesn't have a call to action, that doesn't have a phone number where people can instantly connect with you, and doesn't have that wow factor where it's like, wow, this is really nice. Like, I really want to work with them. And one of the things that I did, having that advertising background, was that I put, on the website, celebrity trusted, after I ended up spray tanning my first celebrity on the Bad Girls Club and doing those season 11 of the girls. From there, another way that I ended up tanning Paris Hilton and Steve Madden and the New Kids on the Block and Miss Teen USA, Miss Universe, Ashley Green, all these incredible celebrities were not only through my Google advertising where they found me, but also through relationships. So one of the clients that I had tanned, I didn't know. I just really made a point to connect with her, and she was beautiful, young, vibrant young girl. She absolutely loved her spray tan. Called me like a regular, spray tanning customer would, not knowing that she happened to be the manager to the W hotel in South Beach, where every celebrity goes and stays. And so lesson number 1, never underestimate the power of a relationship, of somebody that you may not know, that can be extremely powerful, and you may not even know that. So I just treat everybody the same. I really am passionate about what I do. I love people. I make them feel loved, and I do my best to make them feel beautiful and worthy, whether they're tanned or whether they're not. And so I think the most important thing is to cultivate relationships. That's one thing that's really gotten me far in my business, is because people don't care how much you know. They know it's not how much you know, it's what really matters is how much you care, right? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. That's what I was trying to say. And so I think the most important thing in life is relationships. It's what God created you for, and it's what really helps you thrive when you really genuinely care. So I met this manager W, lo and behold, her and I, it was funny because I ended up in a tanning appointment. She was going through a heartbreak from her boyfriend, and I ended up just talking to her for, I don't know, maybe like an hour, really connecting with her on a personal level. And that opened the door to her literally sending me Paris Hilton, Steve Madden, like all these big wig celebrities through that relationship. And the way I just got connected with J-Lo, that was kind of cool. It was actually, a God thing too, because, like I said,
Gladys, can you share that one? Just that highlight of that, because not everybody was on the last call, I believe. Maybe I don't think David was there. Dave, were you here last week? No. So can you give the highlight of what that email was? Because that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So going into that, so let me just, since somebody's just coming on, just to recap. The one thing that I really did early on, 10 years in business, is put myself front and center with my potential customer when they were ready to buy, in a directional format, which was Google, Yahoo, Bing, the search engine. So there's 2 types of advertising. There's your creative formats, and then there's your directional format. So your creative formats is you spending all this money hoping and praying to find new business. That's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, right? You may or may not get anything sticky, may or may not get a return on that investment. But your directional formats, coming from an advertising background, I understood that is your bread and butter. That is where you should always put the most majority of your business. 60% of the pie of advertising is, directional, which is your Google, Yahoo, and Bings and all that. So I put my money in that. And that's where a lot of my celebrity clients actually found me, because when people invest into directional formats, like I said, it's not you seeking the customer out, it's the customer seeking you out. When they have a need, when they're ready to buy, when they're looking for the product or service that you offer. The question is, when they go, can they find you? Right? So you want to position yourself with whatever your profession is, whatever your expertise is, to put yourself in a position where they can find you when they're ready to buy, right? And so I did that on Google. And then that's how I got my first, gig on being a reality TV show, The Bad Girls Club. My business tripled from year 1 to year 2 after being on that show. It's the power, right, of celebrity, because it's kind of like what Chris has taught us. It's called success by association, right? And so even if you're, starting off in business, you meet a celebrity and you take a picture with that celebrity. And I have on my Instagram the check from season 11 from the Bad Girls Club. I was like, whoa, this is awesome. I made sure to take a picture of that check, that they paid me $1,500 to be on the show. And so that's kind of where I first started getting a taste. And then anyways, like I said, all of my other celebrities also either found me on Google, or somebody who knew me, who had a great experience with me, referred me, right? And so last but not least, the way I connected with JLo, it was actually pretty kind of random. I know this is going to sound really crazy, but I never have time to watch TV. I'm always go, go, go. I really do rigorous self-development. I read a lot of Audible every day, because your mind is the battlefield. So I'm constantly feeding my mind. So really the only thing I always is YouTube, right? On accident, like a week and a half ago, I went on YouTube, and on accident it popped up Netflix. And I'm like, Netflix? I don't want to watch Netflix. I want to watch YouTube. Yeah. So when I click on it, I see JLo like on Netflix. I'm like, oh, cool. JLo has a movie. I didn't even know that. So I decide to watch the movie. I didn't even know, I know who she is, but I didn't know like the intimate, deeper parts of her and her struggle and her successes. And as a Hispanic, being a minority, and as I watched the movie, I saw that she, had gone through this whole process, even in her relationships, and then also not winning the Golden Globe Awards like she should have won. And so that was actually like a really key thing that I realized really hurt her, because she really wanted to win, and unfortunately she didn't. And because of XYZ reasons after the movie The Hustler. So it was about 10:30 at night. I had just watched her movie, and I really felt this strong urge after I watched the movie to just encourage her and to reach out to her randomly on Instagram. So I went on the Instagram and I sent her a video, and I said, hey, JLo, I know you don't know me. And I said, but I'm actually watching your movie right now. And I want you to know that Golden Globe Award or no Golden Globe Award, you're still a jewel and you're still awesome. And your worth is not found in what you do, what you win, what you don't win. It's found in who you are. And I just said that random. I just felt in my heart, and I went to her verified Instagram and said that to her. Lo and behold, 2 days later, I get a message from her publicist, and he's like, listen, can you elaborate more on what you said on Instagram and what you meant? And I was like, absolutely. And so I just went into this whole depth, emails telling her, look, I really, esteem her high. I think that she's done incredible things, being a Hispanic, overcoming all of the, race, the world's races, all the things that come with being a minority that Hispanics face, and, every gender really, in reality, not just gender, but cultures. And so I sent a really in-depth email, and then that's when she responded. She said, hey, after doing a really thorough review of your brand and of your services, JLo finds your products and services interesting, and she wants to create a proposal to offer you to put your brand across all of her platforms across the world. And I was like, wow. And that's that story. And like, again, guys, the biggest takeaway and the biggest thing I would ever tell any of you is to genuinely care about people. And I mean, that's really the key to success. Not just knowing your craft, not just being amazing, but going the extra mile, taking the time to spend extra time with them, taking the time to listen to people, to love on them, and like, make them feel special, because they are. And that's all I have to say. So that's my story.
That is amazing. I'm over here looking at Dawn, and she's just like so like engaged. She's like in awe over here. Like, that was great. If everybody could just put in the comments just like one thing that really stuck out to you, one thing that really stuck out to you that either you stuck out to you or that you believe you could implement and do better. And also any questions that anybody has, please type in the comments or just ask. I actually have a question right off the bat, Gladys.
Sure.
Can you talked about the 8 seconds, that first
Yeah.
impression.
Absolutely.
So can you talk about the difference of that in your online presence? Because you said it was 60%,
Mhm.
Can you talk about the difference of that 8 seconds conveying that online versus conveying that in person?
Sure. And so what people see online has to be congruent with what they see. That's number one. You could be working, out of your garage, for all people know, and be, really successful, but your website is your secretary. When you go to sleep, that's what people are looking at, right? And so that is what tells people who you are, what you do, what you're all about. So you need to make sure that, that your website is phenomenal, because now these days, obviously there's ClickFunnels as well for the, creative side of advertising, but for that directional where the people are actually going to Google and looking for your product or service, your website has to, capture the person's attention. In other words, if it's sloppy, if it doesn't have good content, if the pictures aren't visually appealing, if there is no call to action, if they can't find your phone number, oh my goodness, that is so important. They need to be able to like call you quickly, because people have a very, very short attention span. And if they don't find what they want quick, they're on to the next person, especially in my business, right?
So is that if they can't find your phone number within that first 8 seconds, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's just standard, and 101 advertising and web development. And then also it's very important that when you see the customer, that your mind, this is why I preach and I talk all the time about being a whole person, spirit, mind, and body. It's so important because they're all intertwined and they're all really connected. In other words, if your body, has energy, if your mind has energy, right? If you're feeling happy, because what's within you is what's going to flow from without you, right? And so when you go to these customers, they feel your energy. They can sense, if you're sad, if you're mad, if you're mean, if you're not nice, if you're not genuine, all of that, they can really feel it. So it's really important that when you go to talk to a customer, even if you have to spend hours, like whether you do meditation, whether you do prayer, whether you do, time just reading books, you have to have your mind on straight to run a business. You cannot be all over the place. You cannot let your emotions override your logical, everyday tasks. So that way, when you go to that customer, you give them a good first impression, and they just love you. They're like, man, I want to call this girl back. Or, hey, I want to buy a package from her for $1,000 for 10 sessions. Because my goal is to not just help them look beautiful, make them feel, dark and lovely, but I also want to upsell, right? I got to make money. I'm a business owner. And so what's the standard saying? People do business with people they know, like, and trust, right? So if they know you, if they like you, if they trust you, they will have no problem giving you $1,000 to $10,000 to $20,000 of their money like that. I've had, even this week, people offer me money and I'm like, no, thank you. I had someone with a lot of money and I didn't want to take it, because you have to be, discerning enough to know the things that are good and the things that are not good. That's another key in business. You have to be very, very intuitive and very discerning to know what is and what isn't, and when to say yes and when to say no, because not everything that shines is gold, right? In business. So those are just, little tips that have really helped me not only be successful, but then even when I met Paris Hilton, I mean, I'm looking at her in her most vulnerable state, AKA naked. Hello. I mean, how are you going to make a person feel when they're standing there in front of you naked? So the first thing you do is, you compliment them. Hey, I love your hair. And she complimented me, actually. She's like, oh my God, I love your shoes. I'm like, thank you, So you want to compliment your people, find something that is beautiful about them and tell them, and build that trust, build that relationship, build that connection. And I'm going to end with this. Many people communicate, but connect.
Hey,
Try to
hey, Jay. Hey, Jay, do you mind muting yourself?
Sorry about that.
No worries. Thanks, man. So go for it, go for it.
connect, with people. I was going to get you really far.
Yeah. No, and I'll go through and read some of these comments. I don't know if everybody's read these, but I can personally vouch for, we did a mastermind in Miami a while back, and I got a spray tan from Glad. She bought her mobile salon there. And I can vouch for you, like the conversation, you made it very, very comfortable. Yeah. And I really appreciate that, because it really conveys, it makes things so much easier. So I totally understand what you're saying, because I've experienced that firsthand. And type of 1 in the comments if you feel like Gladys is very passionate and genuine about what she does, because that's one thing that I felt from her when working with her. And so some of these comments, Gladys, are pretty awesome. So that's amazing. Be genuine and kind is from Dave. It's all about relationship from Jay. It's all about relationships and genuinely caring. Jean Marie said, so powerful, communicating what you feel in sincerity and elevating someone. That is a huge one. And it's really a gift, a skill set / gift in my experience, to be able to do that, to be able to really elevate someone, and Gladys, I feel like you're very, very good at that. Dawn, your passion is contagious. I agree. As a solopreneur, it's easy to get frazzled by all the to-dos, but remembering to be kind, care about your people, and take the time to do it, it really is number 1. It sounds like you also add lots of fun to your work. Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to say this. One of my really good friends, who is a senior vice president of a huge pharmacy company, she said something to me one time, and it really, really hit home, because I think that the human brain is kind of tailored or wired to be negative. So you have to be intentional about wiring it to be positive. And she said, she said this, she said, a lot of people, she said, a bee, you'll attract more bees with honey than you ever will with vinegar. So that was something she said, and I was like, man, that's so true. When you think about it, you have to just be positive and look at the best, believe the best in people, love people, and then do your stuff awesome and kick ass.
Yes. I like it. Cool. Well, let's give a round of applause for Gladys. She did amazing. Type a 2 in the comments if you got something out of it, if you're glad you attended today and heard those tips and tricks from Gladys. So I'm gonna put a 2 myself in there. So look at all those 2s rolling in, Gladys. Look at that.
You, Colton, you're amazing too. I love you. Thanks for letting me tan you.
Yeah, no, it was fun. I had a great time. Everybody got a good laugh, and that was my goal. So it's about, everybody will remember. I'm not gonna go there. So okay. Jean Marie, how to approach corporate planners. All righty. So Jean Marie, tell us a little bit about how you have successfully approached, and even some things that haven't worked, but really some things. So kind of tell us both sides a little bit about how you personally approach corporate planners and successfully work with them.
Absolutely. Hello. And before I even begin, I just want to congratulate Gladys Number one, it was an exceptional recount of what happened and who you are and what you're doing and what success truly is. And it took courage, and you clearly have it, and listening to the intuition. So I'm going to build on what you said. Sometimes if we rehear or listen to another person's comments, it's understanding the whole picture. And before we begin, in case some of you don't know who I am, I'm Jean Marie Russo, and I came from the corporate world, Fortune 500 corporation, global pharmaceutical for 30 years. I took early retirement and started my own corporation. I did meeting and event, global high profile meeting and event planning for many, many years. And when I took my new corporation to this level of a speakers bureau, I have high profile speakers. I understand, and each of you need to know, if you don't know this already, you need to know that you are what brings success to the meeting and to the event. That's how powerful you are, each and every one of you. And what you need to do is to have that courage, that self-confidence. If you don't have it already, you have it today. Beginning today, say, I swear, put a 1 in the comments saying, I'm going to have it today, because this is what this community does. And what you're doing is making a difference. It's about people. So in the corporate world, how do you get into the corporate structure? It's really hard because of the gatekeeper. But no, it isn't hard, because you're going to do and be who you are. You are going to open that door just as if you're walking into a building. What would you do? You're going to smile. You're going to see that first person there, and you're going to introduce yourself. You're going to bring in that sunshine, that warm, friendly feeling that tells them, I want to get to know that person, or I have a connection to that person. This is how you start it. It begins with hello. It begins with hello. And what you're going to do is, before you even make that call, before you start, you're going to do your research. What is this company about? What is its pain points? Even go to that idea of how could I bring them to another level. And they may not know that they need you, but you're going to convince them that they need you. This is what I talk on. This is what I talk to. And a lot of times what you're doing is, even though you may have a talk that is on a particular subject, you need to tailor each and every talk to that company, to that meeting, to that event. So don't feel that you are specifically locked in to a subject. You have the potential to make it according to what the needs are. Point out what you do and how you're going to share with them what they can do in a few minutes, listening to you, to make a difference in their return on investment, in their bottom dollar, in their customer service, in their ability to reach out to their internal customer service. Perhaps they're having issues with their internal structure. You have not only the opportunity to share a talk, but you plant the seed that, oh, by the way, I know 40 minutes or an hour isn't enough time for that change to take place in your company. So just recognize, I do follow-ups, or I have the ability to come in and do a coaching session, or I have the mastermind opportunity to do a quick, maybe it's a 2-day course that's broken up in 4 hours, or maybe it's a virtual webinar, and you can meet with small groups, breakout teams. make the suggestions, because they don't know what they need a lot of times, but you could give them that subconscious message saying that you need me and this is why. So that is critical. The other thing that I want you to be aware of, it is not always after COVID and even before COVID, there are certain corporations such as Cvent and different meeting planning corporations that now have infiltrated or integrated themselves into corporations. So Cvent is a third-party vendor that handles meeting and events, that takes the burden away from people in the corporations who either don't have the time or that need assistance because they don't have the knowledge or the competencies, or their corporation has made the decision to go to a platform such as Cvent because it's all electronic, technical, and it's a database. So they have to input all that information. How are you going to stand out in that respect? You're going to have to do it through personal referrals. And the way you do it is to go to someone of a higher level, to get into the door, find out who that person is, email, text, LinkedIn, and start a dialogue, start a communication as to who you are and what you do. Because it may not be through the meeting side of the event. What you're going to do is connect with a high profile person to tell them what you could do, or that you see that there was just an article on their company, or they have a competition coming in, and this is how you can assist them in elevating the company and not bringing down what has just hit. You're going to do it not in a meeting and event, but in a private workshop. Because with the meeting and events, if you go through Cvent, it's not personal and it's a random database that Cvent selects who that speaker is possibly. So you need that. You need your in the entertainment world, we call it a trailer, the word I'm looking for, your testimonies, excuse me, your testimonies in who you spoke with, what you've done, why should they select you? And these are the results. You want to show those results. And if you have the credibility of speaking with or having that connection with a celebrity or someone of global presence, for instance, what I'm going to share a quick example of how I became credible within the corporate world. I made the connection, I answered the phone, and this was many years ago in the early 90s. And I did meeting and event planning, and I was the gatekeeper. So I understand who you're going through. When I answered the phone, I talked to that individual who called and I listened. Listening is important. Not only hearing what they're saying, but visualizing and understanding them. I gave this individual my full attention and I asked him why he felt he needed to be within Abbott Laboratories and what would he do that was different than anyone else. And he shared with me what he had done, what he had created, and he was new, fairly new in the business back then. And I believed what he was saying. I saw the impact that he would have, not only on a particular department, but through Abbott globally. And I said, what can I do for you? And he said, I cannot get into Abbott to get my story told, to get on the platform to do meetings. What can I do? And I said, I'll tell you what, let me introduce you to Miles White. Miles White was the CEO. Well, for me, I respect people, absolutely, but I'm not intimidated by people. They're just like you and I. They have a title, yes, but you can give that rapport and gain that rapport with them and show them on a human level, that connection, what you can do for them. That is the question. That is the part of the networking, and it is truly, truly influential. All I did was tell him, I will connect you with Miles and make sure you have that meeting, and the rest is up to you. I did it. Within 24 hours, he got back to me. Miles got back to me. This individual was Stephen Covey. And he got into Abbott because of me. I did the meeting and event training for all of the diagnostics division. I then scheduled his training on a 6-week basis. And he had a long-term commitment with Abbott. And I took his training, and it was powerful. And it was just an added story for me. But at that time, I felt that I made a difference in who he was and what he was doing, but for the corporation and on a global basis. And so don't ever pick up the phone and say, well, I don't know this person, or he or she doesn't have a history. Don't ever feel that you are nobody. Don't ever feel that you don't have potential. You do. You have potential, and you just need that one call, that one connection, and to put forth that foot in the door to say, this is who I am. This is what I can do for you. And what do you need? What are your needs? After the call, you do your follow-up with that gatekeeper. You make sure that they know that what they did made a difference. Another way to look at the entire picture is when you are traveling, you may be sitting next to someone, you may be in the airport, you may be communicating with a business individual. You want to make sure that you network and finding out it's not about you talking the entire trip or engaging in what you do. It's not that that's not important, but you want to find out as much as you can about the people that you meet with, that you connect with. What is their story? What is their world? And then afterwards, you've got all that information. What is their contact information? Because that's how you connect. Because as a follow-up within 24, 48 hours, you could send them a note and saying, we met on the plane, or I don't know if you recall, but this is who I am. I wanted to connect with you to let you know that I had a chance to reflect on our conversation, and I could help you with such and such, or I thought of a person that I need to connect you with. You may not be the person, but the connection may be with someone else. By doing that, you are expanding your horizons and getting in to a different, maybe organization, and finding out who they know. What are their memberships? Do they have referrals? Because those are how you get into the door. Does that help in any way?
Yes, I love that. Everybody put a 3 in the comments. We're gonna go on. Gladys got 1 and 2, so we're gonna start with 3 with Jean Marie.
I love 3. 3 is the best. Body, mind, and spirit.
Three's the best. Put a 3 in the comments if you got something out of it. And that was really cool. I actually got some stuff out of there myself. And asking questions and and taking the focus off of you and putting it on the other person, and just doing, sounds like you do a lot of like little things that just add up to a bigger picture. One thing that I really liked was that your detail about doing it in a personal environment. Catching them not at this grandiose meeting, like, hey, you are great, but catching them in that small private mastermind, or catching them somewhere, right? And so I feel like from what Gladys said and what you said, Jean Marie, there's a lot of things that really complement each other, and they can go, your details complement Gladys, and Gladys, just meshing those two together can really help us move forward in approaching corporate planners and being able to learn how to meet celebrities. And it's really about those details, those first 8 seconds Gladys was talking about, and then having that credibility so you can really have an impact at the specific time and place, Jean Marie, that's going to make a difference for you, right? What questions do we have, guys? Go ahead and post them in the comments. What questions do we have?
While we're waiting for a question, Colton, I just want to add to what you said. And yes, it is that personal connection. And here's why. A lot of people of a higher profile have a bubble around them, and they are very private. And what you need to do is be that private person as well. You could be a celebrity, a high profile speaker, which you are, and very, very high profile in what your business is, but you need to show them in those first few seconds that you protect yourself. And it's like walking on a tightrope, because you want to be open and just be you, but share with them that you care, and how you do it, you have a respect for them because you respect your privacy. So that's just a little note.
I love that. Well, we are at 44 right now, so we're almost done wrapping up the call. We have a little surprise for you, Rod, if you want to come back on. I have a couple last little tips for you guys that we're gonna give you. Our little wake up call here. Rod is going to lead it. Rod's a personal trainer. For those of you who don't know, he's going to get our blood flowing here for about 30 seconds to 60 seconds. And then we're going to wrap this call up. If anybody doesn't have any other questions, we're going to wrap this call up with a couple last details, and we'll let Rod take it off, and then we'll wrap it up with some details.
Yeah.
Sound good?
So, hello everyone. So once we started doing events together, we decided that'd be a good idea to exercise a little bit during Gladys. I know for sure Gladys is at some. So today, able to stand up, and we're just going to do squats to the chair. Now, if you're injured or if you don't feel like you don't have to participate, but for anyone that wants to participate, we're going to stand up and we can count with me. All right, we're going to count out loud. You can come off mute if you want to. Big. You just squat to bottom touches the chair, come back up, and then that'll be 1. And we're going for 10.
2.
Count with me. 3.
4, 5.
All right, halfway through. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Thank you, Colton. You are hurting me.
David is over there doing them. He owns gyms, for those of you who don't know.
Yeah.
David's over there doing it with one leg. He's doing pistol squats. So
I saw it.
awesome. Okay, so what we're going to wrap up with here today is a couple little details. Is who remembers the 3 stories you need to share?
Personal.
No, professional, and
Client.
Personal, professional, and client. Awesome. Okay, so when we're doing that, here's kind of a pro tip from Christopher, is you want to share 3 sad details, and then 3 success details. So this is something we do in our free group for the people that haven't joined GPS yet. These are some of the tips that we give them as well. And Christopher personally uses this in his speeches, right? And so this specific example that I'm going to read to you is of Christopher. So when you're sharing these stories, the 3 sad details, for instance, Christopher was actually punished for talking in school. There's one. He was labeled a slow learner, and he was bullied consistently for being short. Right? How does that make you? And I just think like when he's on stage and he shares something like that, how does that make you feel? Do you connect more with them because he shared those 3 sad details? And then you also want to share 3 success details. Now, what I'm saying is I want you to ask yourself, does this convey credibility? He just was vulnerable with you. You just connected with him. And then he comes in with, he spoke at Google, made $100,000 for a client from one event, and he interviewed Elon Musk. Right? Now look what that just did. Type a, we'll go with 4 now. Type a 4 in the comments if you feel like when you're speaking or even talking to somebody in a normal conversation that could potentially be a client, if you share 3 sad details and 3 success details, do you feel like that would have more of an impact on that person? And does that make sense?
Yeah.
So 3 sad details and 3 success details when you're sharing your personal, professional, and client stories. Does that make sense? So, cool. Well, I just want to thank everybody for being here today. Everybody,
Colton,
every single
could
person
I-
has their camera on. Jean Marie,
Colton, could I add
Anybody-
one more point that is important
Yeah.
to our speakers? If you are an author, number one, I encourage you to be an author if you are not, but if you are an author, with every speaking engagement and with the people that you speak with to get in the door, make sure you provide them or promote your book, not promoting them by asking them and pushing it, but to tell them that your book could specifically help them, or that could be an added gift and bonus to their people, which they are always looking for something special to leave them. So that book will get you out there, maybe to the audience of 150 and then some. They may come back to you and say, we want this for our other departments, and our corporation has 72,000 people. So that one introduction and that one book makes a difference.
yes, no, it totally does. Thank you for sharing that, Jean Marie. So cool. Before we log off here, does anybody have any last comments or something that stuck out to them?
Hey, Colton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally wanted to say thank you guys for sharing your stories. But it does, you guys went together so well. And even when we were talking about the networking, it hits home with Gladys saying that, you know, if you're not genuine and you really don't want to build genuine results, the network part of it even won't work. If you're true to yourself and you truly care about people, those people, at least in my experiences, those people are always going to refer me people just because they know I'm genuine. They know that I care. So you guys went together so well with your stories. It's amazing that no matter what industry we're all in, it all comes down to a few values. You know, it's being genuine and caring about, you know, other people really sets that foundation. So thank you guys very much.
That actually, that's a good point, David. So I think repetition is key in that as well, and just getting that out there as much as we can, because who here, I'm going to be the first one to raise my hand, who here has had the intention of being genuine, but you're just not in the best mood and you come across disingenuinely? We have a lot of hands.
Yeah.
And so I think repetition, because we're not always going to be on our A game. So the goal should be, at least what I do in my life, and I've learned a lot of this from Christopher as well, is the goal should be to continually put out the effort and have the intention of coming across as genuine as possible. Because every once in a while, you're not going to come across genuine. But the point is, you did what you had control of. Does that make sense? So thank you, David.
Like what Gladys and Marie both said, you have to truly care. And even if you're not on your A game, I believe that your energy introduces you before you even open your mouth. So yeah, you may be moody, but people still could feel that.
Mhm. What's the guy's name, the bald guy's name on Shark Tank?
Draymond, John?
No, the other guy, the
Leary.
other one.
Event like a week ago, Kevin O'Leary.
O'Leary, yes, O'Leary. O'Leary said something. I saw a reel on Instagram the other day. It said, and O'Leary was like, I can tell within the first 90 seconds if somebody's going to be successful or not, just based on how they act, just by watching them, not talking to them, but just by watching how they convey themselves, how they present themselves. He can tell within the first 90 seconds if they're going to be successful or not. That's intense.
That's true.
So it's a mental note. When I saw that as a mental note, like, make sure I'm super intentional about that, So cool. Anything else? We're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, thanks for hosting,
Thank
Colton.
you, Colton. Thank you, Colton.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys. Grazel, if you want to go ahead and end the recording and end the live stream, I'd appreciate that. Enjoy your day, everybody. Good seeing y'all.